All right, John DeShazier of the NewOrleansSaints.com senior writer joins us on Coast to Coast to talk about this unbelievable start for the Saints and Derek Carr. It's great to see you. I have to say, I've never seen anything like it, to be honest with you, where a team, if you look back at what they did, they scored. Let's go back to the first game when they had points on 9 consecutive possessions in the rout of Carolina. Fair enough, Panthers stink. But then you go to Dallas and score on your first 6 possessions against the Dallas Cowboys at Jerry's World, a 36-win team over the last 3 years in the regular season. Now that's saying something. And if you stack it up, it's truly unbelievable what they've been doing with the Rock.
Yeah, I mean, and think about this. Dallas had won 16 straight home games during the regular season, and those 6 consecutive possessions were 6 straight touchdowns. No field goals, touchdowns. So the Saints have been very, very impressive. At no point yesterday on Sunday did it appear Dallas had a real good handle on what the Saints were doing offensively, and that's exactly what the Saints want of every opponent this year. They want every play to look the same. They want every play to seem the same as they get to the line of scrimmage and they go into motion, and yet every play has a different variation, and they know exactly where they what they want to do, and they had Dallas exactly where they wanted them.
Kamara was so unbelievable, and I never remembered him doing anything like that, frankly, ever. I mean, I always thought he was good, but I never saw him light it up like that yesterday, where he, like, I don't know what I was watching. I was like, I always thought he had it all, talent-wise, but I've never seen him mix it up like that.
Well, he scored the 4 touchdowns. He did score 6 touchdowns, ran for 6 touchdowns against Minnesota on Christmas Day in 2020. But, I mean, the last 3 seasons.
Years ago.
Years ago. The last 3 seasons, his numbers have dipped, and it just hadn't looked like quite the Alvin Kamara we're accustomed to seeing. And he's a guy who's always in phenomenal shape physically. He's got a great mind for the game. We just didn't know how it would translate in this offense. And you see Christian McCaffrey in this offense, and you see other running backs in this offense, and you say, man, they're very productive. Alvin Kamara saw those same things, and he knew that production could be his if he was in this offense. And he has exploded, especially against Dallas yesterday, where he looked like the Alvin Kamara that we're accustomed to seeing from 5-6 years ago, where he looked fresh. He's got some of the best balance I've ever seen for a running back. And he was just a guy who was not going to be denied. And he ran for the tough yards, too. It wasn't just a flash in the dash. He muscled up between the tackles when they had to, when they needed some tough yards.
Have you ever seen anyone do that with that much of a gap in their career of when they were great when they were young, and then 4 years later do it again? I can't remember anyone losing 4 years of their life in a football career and having a game like that. On that 57-yard screenplay, he was just a monster. And, like, I'm sitting there watching going, what? I was in Vegas, and I'm like going, what is happening here? What is going on here with this guy? I go, do you remember this guy? I'm looking at people in the bar. I'm going, do you remember this? Do you remember this guy?
Think about it, Scott. This is a running back. These guys fall off the table at a certain age.
Right.
They don't just dip; they fall off the table. And you wondered if Alvin Kamara was in that spot where he was literally about to fall off the table. So when you're talking about 4 years gap between running back, that's almost totally different than any other beast in the NFL, because their production drops so sharply and they generally never get it back. But he is the guy who apparently, maybe he never lost it, and they just needed a new offensive system. They needed some new blood. They needed some new schemes to free him up and get him in space.
What is going on with this kid, Kubiak? I mean, I got to be honest with you. I always have been kind of a downer on Allen. I've never thought he was a good coach. I really don't. I was like, I've said on the air before, he sucks. He's just not a good coach. And but this kid, no disrespect to Allen, fair enough. But this kid, I don't even know what I'm watching with this offense. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like I'm watching going, what is happening here? Beyond Kamara, like the whole thing is like greased lightning. And I don't think anyone in football saw it coming.
Yeah, that's that. I guess that the Shanahan pixie dust. I guess. I mean, it seems like these guys take that system around the NFL, and they're productive with it. Now, I will say this: you've got to have the parts to be able to do it. You can install the system. Does the system work the same with Carolina? I don't know. But when you've got Alvin Kamara and you've got Derek Carr, who really, really likes this offense, and you got a couple of receivers who are able to get open the way the Saints have some guys that can get open, and even though the offensive line collectively is inexperienced in terms of playing together, but they're athletic guys, and that's what that offense depends on. Athletic offensive linemen who get down the field, who are able to get to angles and make those blocks. Then everything seems to be a perfect storm for the Saints right now, because everything that Clint Kubiak seems to call is working, even when they don't have a game on the plate, it's setting you up for something else. And I mean, they perfectly set Dallas up, several times yesterday, where the Cowboys thought they saw one thing, instead it was another. And at times it was a 57-yard screen pass for a touchdown. Another time it was a 70-yard touchdown, a pass to Rashid Shaheed. I mean, they really had them on their heels because they didn't necessarily know what they were looking for. It was a hocus pocus show.
That is awesome. Now, John, let me ask you. This is like glory days with Sean and Drew.
Yeah.
It really is. Like they haven't seen anything like this down there since then. And I want to know what the reaction is. Are people all in, buying in? Are they freaking out? Are they like, are they timid about it? Like, I don't trust it. What is the reaction to what they're witnessing right now with the hottest show in the league?
Look, after 3 consecutive non-playoff seasons, Saints fans are both feet in. They're all in. They traveled well to Dallas yesterday, and outside the stadium, they were having a second line. These folks want to see a winner, and most, obviously, every NFL city, their fans want to see a winner, but these guys are starving for a winner, and they've seen what it can be like with a guy like Drew Brees at quarterback and Sean Payton at head coach, where 10, 12 win seasons kind of got pretty much the norm around here, and then folks started expecting to get to the Super Bowl every year, where it doesn't happen that way. We know that. But now, after having a little bit of a drought, now to get back to some success, these people were starving for it. And I guarantee you, Sunday in the Superdome against Philadelphia is going to be rocking.
Yeah, I hope they lose tonight. I just wanted to say that to you. And then when you were watching the game yesterday, I got 1 minute respectfully, John. When you were watching the game yesterday and you're doing your thing, what were you thinking? Like, I was like, give me a double. I need another drink over here. I'm watching this. What is happening? What were you thinking?
I kept saying, okay, well, I think Dallas will probably, I think they'll, have to punt this series. Okay, I think they'll have to punt this series. Okay, I think they have to punt this series. Okay, there's going to be a 3 and out. And they kept getting touchdowns. It was phenomenal to watch.
You had to be tripping watching that game.
I mean, it was wild. I mean, I can't say that I've seen back-to-back games where you score on 9 straight possessions to open the game and then 6 straight possessions to open the game. I've never seen that with my own eyes.